buddy.
Hi, friends. Well, from beautiful Salt Lake City, Utah.
It's Thank God I'm Atheist.
A podcast exploring religion, politics, current events from two atheists just trying to survive life in these United States.
I'm Frank Feldman.
And I'm Dan Beecher.
And coming up on the show today, it's our annual Christmas survival guide.
Oh my God.
How do you survive
are you
religious family's Christmas celebration?
Are you going to be with the fam for Christmas, friends? If you are, we're going to try and help.
We got all the best tips here. Just so you know.
I make no promises.
Well, I promise.
Oh.
I promise these are the best tips.
Okay.
Only
Excellent.
the best for our listeners, Dan.
Oh, we would never think of giving you anything less than the best.
But as always, we've got the whole rest of the show to do first. Before we get to that. And that means we have some news of the week, things that have happened, including an announcement about a new LGBTQ pilgrimage.
What?
That's going to be happening. Dan,
is this to
gay people and the rest?
Is this a pilgrimage to where they filmed? I don't know, Mamma Mia. I freaked out. Sorry, I panicked.
It's pretty good though. I don't know. That would be a great pilgrimage.
I mean, Santorini is lovely. So go ahead.
No, this is Dan. Wait for it. This was announced by the Vatican. It is the first ever pilgrimage specifically for LGBTQ plus Christians and their relatives and allies. It's going to be taking place during the 2025 celebration of Jubilee.
Oh, yes, it's a Jubilee year.
It's a Jubilee, which happens every 50 years. I thought it was every 25. I guess I was wrong about that. But it's every 50 years. But this is bizarre news coming from the Vatican. This is, first of all, I will say that if you were to list out all of the top LGBTQ plus pilgrimages in the world, this is going to be the most boring.
Well,
because gay people have a way of making things fun. Gay Catholics, on the other hand, I can't imagine are gonna.
Gay Catholics are called priests, aren't they?
They're not going to be whooping it up too much here.
Can I just say, I have this deep fear living inside of me right now.
Yeah.
That the place of this pilgrimage is just far away from us.
Sending you away.
Oh, we've just designated a place for all of you gays and gay loving people to go.
Yeah.
It's not here.
Well, this is going to surprise you then, Dan, because it includes a visit to St. Peter's Basilica in the Vatican City. That's not there. That's here. That's right in the middle of things. They're not sending them away. There's going to be a prayer vigil for members of the LGBT community and their families held in Rome's Il Gesù Church. It's an important one.
Yeah.
And there's going to be a celebratory mass overseen by Bishop Francesco Savino, who's the vice president of the Italian Bishops' Conference.
Oh,
so they're not skimping on this thing. This is a real pilgrimage. And the very, very, very sad Catholic homosexuals and whatnot can go and see all the sights with their other
let me tell you something.
Catholic homosexuals.
I might want to be in Rome then, because Rome might
Jubilee?
During the gay pilgrimage.
It's part of anyway. Go ahead.
Rome might light the fuck up. I'm just saying, Rome might get real fun.
Maybe. I don't think this. I don't know. Maybe there'll be some white parties or something. I have no idea. This is apparently Pope Francis. He had to approve this, right?
Right.
And he did so apparently, despite some internal resistance amongst Holy Year organizers types, right? So the Vatican wasn't like 100% in agreement about doing this. And, you know, Francis is such a bizarro character because like this article lists out like all these different ways that he's like made sort of overtures toward the gay community, right? And then they list out all the ways that he's kind of been a dick to the gay community.
Yeah.
And it's like it's hard to figure out what's going on, but this is in my mind, this seems like a big fucking deal. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, this isn't like performing gay marriages or whatnot, but it's like, hey, gay people, come. And I don't know, maybe they're just going to call them to repentance or something. Like they get them all in one place so they can be like, hey, so just so you know, we now know who you all are and you need to repent.
The Lord gaveth and the Lord taketh away the gay. I just think, I think, and you know what? I'm going to use this as my transition point into my story. Because here's the thing about the Pope. This particular Pope, Francis, is that he is the Pope of trying so hard to have his cake and eat it too. He is the Pope of, I want everyone to be happy. Fuck, now no one's happy. Just constantly and perpetually like, I like gays. Oh no, we can't let them be. Oh, I think we should think about what we can do to further enfranchise women in places of authority in our church. Oh no, we can't do that. Like he constantly is saying,
it's a little whiplashy,
saying one thing and then turning around. And that is sort of the case here. I mean, he was put into a very interesting position. One of the things that happens apparently around this time of year at the Vatican, you would know this, is that they do, what do you call them? Creches. They do large nativity scenes.
Yeah, I love a creche.
And one of the big nativity scenes this year was created by some artists from Bethlehem. The perfect place, because that's where Jesus was born in theory.
Right.
And so what a wonderful way. Unfortunately for everyone, Bethlehem is in the Palestinian territory. Bethlehem is in Palestine. And these were Palestinian artists who created this nativity scene using sort of traditional Palestinian carving techniques. They carved it out of olive wood, and it's a lovely thing. And then at the last minute, they pulled a maneuver.
Oh no!
Which is that they covered the manger in which was laid the baby Jesus in a sorry about the pronunciation, a keffiyeh, which is the traditional sort of Palestinian headscarf thing that you see that has become basically a symbol of the Palestinian people,
right?
And also of the cause of the Palestinians. So Jesus is laid on this keffiyeh, thereby making a very large political statement. And you know, they allowed it. It happened. Not only did they allow it, but the Pope was wheeled in his wheelchair to it and then spoke in front of it. And
Really?
and gave a big speech about wanting peace in the Middle East and saying, with tears in our eyes, this is a quote, I assume translated, but with tears in our eyes, let us raise our prayer for peace. Brothers and sisters, enough war, enough violence, which is so great when a completely worthless person gives an impassioned speech that can do nothing about just no more war. No, here's the thing. Pope Francis has spent the last year and whatever it's been since October of last year trying to thread the needle between, hey, the way the Palestinian people are being treated is an abomination and horrific, and we still like Jews, though, which has been a tough road for many public figures to walk, and the Pope has not done a particularly great job of it. By the way, apparently there's a tradition of the baby Jesus going away on these nativity scenes until Christmas.
Oh, okay.
And in this case, the baby Jesus, the keffiyeh, and the manger all went away. No word as to what will end up returning on Christmas Day. So that'll be a fun little surprise for all of us. The Jewish community, by the way, was outraged by this thing. And you know, I love it when you have people saying, why would they politicize this moment as though like Christmas and the birth of Jesus is not already a political thing.
Right.
And as though, you know, religion isn't inextricably linked to politics, especially when it comes to the Middle East. But okay, fine. I went and read, I found a link to a Times of Israel article about this outrage, about the unveiling of this particular nativity scene.
Right.
And oh, it is interesting watching how the Times of Israel talks about the war that's currently going on. Because, I mean, look, I understand that the Times of Israel is not going to call it a genocide. But, man, the way that they bend over backwards to characterize this, it's astounding. Israel's campaign against, what did they call it? They called it the ongoing war between Israel and various Iranian proxies. That's the war. No mention in that phrase of a whole group of people that are being currently eradicated and brutally murdered for no good reason. In another place, they called it. They referred to October 7th, 2023, when thousands of Hamas-led terrorists invaded southern Israel, killing 1,200 people and taking 251 hostages amid acts of brutality and sexual assault. No mention of the response to that. They did, however, mention a call by the Pope to investigate. This isn't even, so this is as close, I think, as the Pope came to ever like calling out Israel. But he called to investigate whether Israel's, this is wording from the Times of Israel, by the way, to investigate whether Israel's campaign against the Hamas terror group in Gaza, quote, fits into the technical definition of genocide. It's amazing. Anyway, you know, obviously what's happening in Israel is genocide. But anyway, I just think I love that these Gazan Palestinian artists have put the Vatican in this position. I think it's delightful.
Well, I've got a story about another nativity scene.
Oh, it's nativities all the way down.
Merry Christmas, everybody. Yeah, this one at the U.S. Capitol.
Oh,
yes. This is I got this story over there at the Christian Post, and you know they like this.
Oh yeah,
and they also sort of had a way of casting the story. But let's just go through the story real quick. It says, for the first time in history, a nativity scene was displayed on the steps of the U.S. Capitol.
Okay.
Which I was like, really? Okay. I suppose that could be true.
It doesn't sound very true.
It doesn't sound true. Seems like maybe the first time in a long time, maybe. There's this one Mr. Reverend Patrick Mahoney, who is the director of the Christian Defense Coalition. Basically, what he did for a few years, I guess, is he would go onto parts of the Capitol grounds that are not open for sort of public displays of, free speech and whatnot.
Sure.
Because there are a lot of areas where you can like exercise free speech on the Capitol grounds as a protester or whatever you're doing, right? But there are obviously, for very good and solid reasons, areas that the Capitol Police just don't allow you to protest. And
it turns out, force your way in and do it by by force.
There is that way. But so he wanted specifically to do it on the steps of the U.S. Capitol, which I went and kind of nosed around on the Capitol Police's website to get a sense of like where they allow protests. And basically their rule has been if it's an area that's like, if it's a pathway, if it's a walkway, right? If it's an area that people are going to be passing through, they don't want you blocking, right? Like those passages. And so they don't allow them in those specific places. But if you've ever seen the Capitol, there are tons of steps, right? You could designate part of the steps if you wanted to, as a, sort of, I guess, a free speech zone. But they were not. They were off limits. And he would go there tempting the police to arrest him.
Yeah, because they're all dicks. It's just jerks. If you are like, this isn't about this isn't protesting anything in particular. This is just, I want to go and show what a jerk I am to I don't know, I'm a jerk for Jesus.
Yeah, jerks for Jesus. And so anyway, he would try to tell or read the Christmas story from the Bible, and he would like try to hold nativity displays over at the Capitol Christmas tree specifically. Which is its own little issue. I guess it's not
all
specifically.
All of this is problematic. There is no non-problematic part of any of this.
Anyway, so it ended up being this big legal battle, and there was a court decision that they are celebrating as a victory for freedom of religion and freedom for Christianity to be able to like infringe into more public spaces, when it's actually just a general free speech decision by this judge that says that the Capitol Police have to allow protests and free speech in this area of the Capitol steps.
Oh my God.
And so, but for them, it's just like Christianity won. We're taking the nativity scene to the grounds of the Capitol for the very first time ever. And it's like, okay, I don't know. That's exactly what this victory was. Yeah. But anyway, there are pictures of this Mahoney fellow on Twitter. He's all dressed up in ridiculous garb, and then he has a plastic nativity scene set out in front of him. On the steps of the U.S. Capitol.
Oh my God.
It says 7 months ago, we would have been arrested for having this nativity display on the steps of the U.S. Capitol. However, we won an historic federal lawsuit through the incredible work of the Center for American Liberty, which allowed us on the steps. And we are so very thankful for the opportunity to share the joyful and powerful message of Christmas on the steps of the U.S. Capitol. And it's just so ridiculous. It's
truly
so dumb.
A cause for joy. Because nobody knew about Christianity in the U.S. until this happened. Nobody had figured that part out yet, and now we all know.
Yeah.
So thank God they were able to do that. It worked.
But like religious expression is allowed on public grounds in any area that would allow where they would allow other free speech. Religious expression is also allowed. It is protected speech in this country.
I want to know, like, we know the answer to this, but I want someone to ask him, cool, you got to do this. How would you feel now that this is a right?
Mm-hmm.
How will you feel when you see someone doing Muslim prayer here?
Yeah.
How will you feel when someone puts up an image of Ganesh
Mm-hmm.
and you know, whatever prayerful worship happens about that?
In this on the amazing steps of the U.S. Capitol.
I'm sure you'll feel great about that, right? Right?
Like, I love that. Yeah, I guess Christianity won for today. Right? Until the next group comes along and they also win. Right?
Yeah. And you'll be furious about it.
Let's see. He said in a statement, this is also a significant victory for religious freedom and the First Amendment. This event has ended and won the war on Christmas in the public square. For if Christmas can be celebrated and displayed in the most powerful public square in America, it can be celebrated publicly everywhere.
And you're right about that. That's never been a problem.
Yeah.
You just can't do it in a way that makes the government endorse the thing. All right,
Yeah.
fine.
But I also want to just quibble with Christian Post for their misleading headline, because it says nativity scene goes on display at U.S. Capitol. And while that is technically true, that did happen, that headline suggests some in the cultural wars that exist around Christmas and around nativity scenes on firehouse lawns or on city hall's lawn, right? What they're talking about, what comes to mind when you hear that headline is that a permanent display has been set up on the U.S. Capitol grounds, and that is not what this is. And so I quibble with you, Christian Post.
Really?
You should be ashamed of yourselves, Christian Post. I am so tired of misleading headlines.
Well,
it is my new thing. I am done with misleading headlines.
And from the Christian Post of all places,
such a
an
reliable
institution we've come to depend on
and trust to not be given a clickbaity headline.
Oh Lord!
Screw you, Christian Post.
Yes, indeed. All right. Well, I'm gonna keep us in the U.S. Capitol for this, because I'm gonna talk about a semi-serious story. As you may know, or as you may be trying to avoid knowing, there will be a changing of the guard in Washington, D.C. coming up in a month. And bad people will be taking over everything.
I'm sorry, what?
Don't think about it too hard. But one of the things that is happening is that a whole bunch of people, you may have heard that that our current president, Joe Biden, has offered at least one presidential pardon as he's in the process of exiting the building to his son, which I actually think is fair and right. His son was prosecuted. He was just made an example of. It wasn't a real prosecution. It was all bullshit.
Yeah.
It was literally a law that never gets prosecuted ever, because they needed to catch him out on something, because they had been yelling that he was a criminal for so long and they had nothing on him.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm totally fine with that.
The optics are brutal, but
the optics are rough, but who the fuck cares? He's a 100-year-old man who's never going to be in office for anything ever again.
And it's his son. I mean, it's like there's so much about it that I'm just like, I don't like it, but I also
just go ahead.
I have
But
a hard time condemning it.
But just go ahead should also be for some other people. So a group of faith leaders and a bunch of activists and stuff have gotten together to request that Biden commute the sentences of approximately 40 federal death row inmates.
Oh, okay.
They're not calling for them to be released or anything, but they're on death row, and these are people who don't believe in the death penalty, including a bunch of people who actually are victims of one or more of the people who are facing death,
Right.
As a punishment. The Biden administration sort of put a moratorium on executions, but didn't commute the sentences. So no one has been executed in the last 4 years by the U.S. government. But Trump's about to take over, and when he was in office, he executed more than 4 times as many as under all the presidents combined since the death penalty was reinstated federally in 1988.
Personally, by the way, like he
he
went
was there.
and he actually had the shot.
It was like a hobby.
He pushed the button, whatever the button is that does the execution. He pushed it.
Oh yeah, he was thrilled about it. It turns out that that's only 13 federal prisoners who were executed, but that's still way more than anybody else's.
And you said it's 3 times? How many times?
More than 4 times as many.
More than 4 times. Wow.
So that's clearly he's going to kill these people.
He loves it.
It's his favorite thing. So yeah, these groups are calling for Biden to actually just commute the sentence down to life in prison.
Right. Okay. Nice.
I think that makes sense. I think that that's a good thing to do because trigger happy Donnie is not to be trusted.
Yeah. Well, and also be the good Catholic, Biden. You couldn't protect the babies for political reasons, clearly.
Yeah.
But why not? I mean, the Catholic Church is against the death penalty.
Yeah. Yeah. And that
does line up with typical Democratic Party values.
Yeah.
Right. To be anti-death penalty.
I think it's so funny
do it. Actually, every Democratic president who comes along should just do this. Like it would
yeah. I think this should go much further. I think he should have been spending the last year he should have a commission of how many people are in federal prison because of bullshit marijuana.
Right.
Nonviolent marijuana convictions and stupid laws that, just fucking release as many people from prison as is safe to do and not, doesn't endanger the whatever.
I thought he did do something on marijuana.
I don't know what he did.
I think he did.
He made some changes.
I don't know if it was like blanket or how far reaching it was, but I thought he did something about, and I may be wrong on that, but
anyway, our country is atrocious in terms of how many people we lock up. And so the more
let a few free.
Yeah. Nonviolent, didn't hurt anybody offenders. That's just such an easy game to play. I would just don't worry. It's not like Hunter is going to have a career in politics. So you're not protecting any legacy here.
Right.
Just fucking go for it, man.
Yeah. Well, all right, Dan.
Yeah.
We've covered talked about a story that was similar to this in the past, but the numbers that this one is touting caught my attention. This has to do with cell phone data and church attendance, religious service attendance in the United States. And this is fun data for researchers to sift through. Because it's out there, you can buy these data sets and then figure out what it's anonymized to a certain extent, I guess, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you can figure out kind of what people are up to, which is terrifying. But this is good news. This is fun. A fun use of the data.
I have found it delightful to see how many people are like, you know, with the whole TikTok thing, how much of our government is like, oh, they're selling our, you know, China's getting everyone's data. And it's like, China can just buy it like anyone else can from any other app or website on the planet.
Yeah.
This is not secret data that they are using nefariously.
Well, anyway, Dan, having to do with church service. So what they're doing with this one is they are comparing the self-reported numbers with the actual cell phone data. And
self-reported by the church, like how many people are coming?
By people in like those polls where they ask people about, you know, their religious observance and all that kind of stuff. So the people say that 45.5% of Americans say that they attend church at least once a year. Compared to 72.7% of the cell phone data that shows that they're only going once a year, or, you know, a few times. At least once a month, it's 29.8% versus the cell phone data that says 20.7%. So a little drop off there. Yeah. And regular weekly attendance, 22% of Americans say they go every single week. And that number is actually 4.6%. Go every week. So you look at that. Now let's revisit that first set of numbers again. 45.5% say at least once a year, but it's 72.7% that are basically going on Christmas and Easter or the equivalent. If you're not Christian and it's something else.
That's amazing.
Okay, so these numbers, boy, they break down obviously along like denominations and exactly the same ways that you would expect, right? Like they're self-reporting much higher than they're actually going. The Latter-day Saints and Jehovah's Witnesses, they sort of fare the best as far as like regular
that doesn't
attendance.
surprise me. That sounds about right. I would have guessed that.
But they all of them show spikes around the holidays.
Okay.
And whether it's Yom Kippur or Eid al-Fitr,
yes,
or Christmas or Easter, right? Like they all see there's all spikes around all of those different groups, except for the Mormons and kind of really the Jehovah's Witnesses. They kind of just stay really steady. Mormons, the whole thing.
Jehovah's Witnesses because they don't celebrate any of the holidays,
right?
Mormons because they just are like they're really good at shaming each other into going to church. Mm-hmm. Like that is a strong suit of Mormonism.
Yeah, the Mormons actually have two incredible dips where it drops to basically zero twice a year. You can guess what that is.
I know exactly what that is.
Mormons have general conference and don't go to church twice a year.
Yep.
And then regionally, it's where you would expect. The South is more heavily attended. Utah is heavily attended compared to other parts of the country. But here's a fun one. And he looks at average annual income. And for those that say they never attended church at all during the year, they actually are the highest earners. Followed by attended at least once a year by right on the tail end of that. Attended at least once a month. It goes down a little bit. Oh, so I should say these numbers. Never attended is the mean income was 79,934.
This is self-reported never attended.
No, this is cell phone data. So he's sussed out their incomes as well as and cross-referenced it with church attendance. Right. And if they never attended, they have the highest income, median income at 79,934 a year.
Okay.
Attended at least once a year goes down to 78,939. Attended at least once a month, 77,853. And then attended every single week takes a big ol' hit down to 73,851, which is interesting to me. That
I don't go to church. It's for the poors.
I mean, the pores, yeah. It's not that huge of a difference, but it is interesting that there is a difference. And then he also looked at going to casinos and liquor stores, and strip clubs, and the never attendeds have they go to the liquor stores more than the religious groups.
Oh, interesting.
By not, not a ton, except for those that go every week.
If you take Mormons out of it, does it change?
Yeah, exactly. Casinos is pretty high, but strip clubs, never attended a church. 2.1% of Americans go to strip clubs from that category. Attended at least once a year, 2%. Attended at least once a month, 1.3%. And attended at least once a week, 0.8%. Ooh. Yeah. So just some funny numbers.
Yeah.
I like that he looked at the annual income and sussed out something that I don't know. What does that mean? I guess if you have a higher education, you probably make more money, and therefore,
well, it means a lot of things.
Higher education also correlates with probably not going to church.
I think, but I also think that like a lot of the people who go to church, you learned this when you were on your mission, that like the people who are most attracted to the messaging of church and are the people who are really struggling.
That's true. That is true.
So, and those are the people that you were told to target specifically when you were on your mission.
Yeah, that's true. And so, yeah, I mean, it makes sense. It's not too surprising, but we can also, I don't know, I want to just take it and be like, yeah, we're better off than you.
Church is for the poors. That's just a fact.
Oh, gross.
All right. Well, I'm going to give an update to a story that we did years ago, like a long ways ago. And this is a story about a Noah's Ark replica, but not the Ken Ham one, not the enormous monstrosity in Kentucky that that Ken Ham did. This is about a Dutch carpenter named Johan Weber. I don't know how to say that name at all. Anyway, he way back in 2005, he decided to build what he considered a life-size version of Noah's Ark. But his idea was that it would be actually seaworthy, unlike Ken Ham's thing. And it was also a fraction of the size.
Oh, okay.
Like a fifth of the size of the actual ark.
Oh, so it couldn't fit all the animals of the planet on it.
No. Neither could the actual size one, but that's fine. And it was also, but he did use verticality, so it was 7 stories tall rather than the 3 stories tall that I guess is in the book. I haven't read that story in Genesis for a little while. And he spent over $1 million building it, and just,
wow.
Just wanted it to be this fun attraction for people to go and visit, and hoped that he could actually sail it around as a and visit other places and whatever. Anyway, he sold that ship. I don't know how, but he a guy named Odd Peters bought it.
Okay.
And then our guy John Huebers decided to try again and make an even bigger version, another ark.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it was such a success. Why not? This one cost 4 million euros to build, and opened up in 2012. But unfortunately didn't have the interest that he had hoped that it would have. And it just sat there in a city, just moored in a city. And now it's been shut down since 2016. It has been not doing anything, not even like accepting people in there. It is just a big wooden boat.
That's weird.
And it's real, like it's a real wood structure. It's actually pretty impressive.
Can't imagine it's very seaworthy, though.
Oh, why? Just because that would be a weird thing if it were actually seaworthy?
It's just, I don't know. Like
it is apparently. Well, apparently it's somewhat seaworthy. We'll get to that. The first ark was meant to be seaworthy, and the guy that bought it like moved it around, and it has had a series of misadventures, including at one point it was moored somewhere, and literally there was a storm, and it broke its moorings, and then went and like crushed a whole bunch of other boats.
Really?
In the marina there. That was cute. And then it was the guy took it to Ipswich, England. This was in 2019. And it was supposed to be there for like 3 months or whatever, but was forced to stay there because the British government determined that it was not seaworthy. It was too unsafe to take it back out.
Oh, wow.
And also it was not able to sail under a Dutch flag because its certification was missing. And so it's been sitting there accruing a fine of £500 a day since April 1st, and they can't move it. They've determined that it's illegal for them to sail it away.
What if they just set it on fire?
Right?
I mean, that's
all of this is good news for the sale of the Arc 2.0.
Oh, yeah.
Which is on a like an auction website, some sort of Dutch auction website, and you'll recall that it was built for 4 million euro.
Yeah,
it has now gone up. The bidding is now holding as of this moment, as of this recording, at 405,000.
Oh,
It's
Ooh.
It would be a steal at half the price. I don't know who's buying. I don't know who is like Hammond Meadow was kind of hoping that it would be like, you know, the Satanic Temple or whatever. Although,
yeah, okay.
Although the guy has apparently sworn that if it's going to be used for naughty purposes, he won't sell.
Oh, naughty.
Well, like he said if they want to turn it into a brothel, I'm not selling.
That would be a very large brothel.
Yeah. Worth it. Sounds great. I love that idea. But also, like, just turn it into a, you know, I don't know what you turn it into. It sounds like an albatross. It sounds like the worst thing that you could own.
Well, you could turn it. Surely there's something you could do with it. If you could moor it safely somewhere.
Yeah, like turn it into a club.
A hotel or apartments. I mean, there's a housing shortage for crying out loud. Like,
yeah.
Let people
turn
it into a homeless shelter, right? Like,
sure.
Like homeless people like need housing.
You know, when I was in Sweden, there was a ship. I don't know if Stockholm still has this, but it was a nightclub it was a ship turned nightclub that you could go to. They were having a foam party on the the bottom floor, and they, you know, places you could get drinks anywhere. Anyway, you could do a lot of fun with that. Turn it into a skate park.
That might be naughty.
The world's only floating skate park.
Oh yeah. All right. Well, anyway, cool.
There you go.
There are the things that could be done, but it won't be.
But won't be. I don't know what you do. Like, well, Here's what we can do. We can say, listen, you listeners out there, if you have a great idea for what to do with an enormous boat that can't go anywhere really, it's made of wood. It's lovely. It could be a good conference center. American atheists could have their next convention there. Anyway, let us know what you think should happen to the enormous, ugly ark. Write into us, podcast@thankgodimatheist.com.
Or call and leave us a voicemail message. The telephone number is 424-666-8442. Stick around. There's more show coming up.
Well, Frank, we've had some folks write into us. We got some people to thank coming up. Our first one is from Joe in Alaska. Now, Joe is apparently now made aware of a fact that you and I know is true, which is that the Mormons are temple crazy.
They really are.
So Mormon temples are different than Mormon churches. They're a very special place, blah, blah, blah. And Mormons have been building them like mad in places that there's no reason to build a temple.
Yeah.
Just for showing off purposes.
Yeah. Because they have how many billions of dollars?
Like $150 billion that we know about. That's probably a low estimate. I don't know. So Joe has written into us. He says, "Hey, Frank and Dan, I live in Fairbanks, Alaska, and it was announced that a new LDS temple will be built here. It will be the farthest north Mormon temple. Is it true that the public can tour new temples before it's consecrated?" Oh, this says concentrated, but consecrated is actually the word we're looking for. If so, what can I expect? It is true that you will get a chance to walk through it.
If you want. Yeah.
If you want to. Frank, you and I have walked through a temple before it was made holy.
I've done a couple of them. Yeah.
I've done a whole bunch of them.
Yeah. It's an experience. It's probably worth if you're curious checking out.
Yeah, sure.
They won't give you much really good context for anything.
No, but I heavily encourage you. There will be volunteers all over the place. Ask them everything. Dive into all of it. What happens in this room? Why do they do that? Where's the part where they do the knock, 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 and then they you put your hand through a sheet? Is that real?
It's real.
Feel free to ask them. Look.
Yeah, do a little research before going.
They're inviting you in. You might as well earnestly ask them the weirdest parts. Yeah. Now, I've heard about this washing and anointing thing. Where do they touch you exactly?
Yeah. Could you demonstrate, please?
Show me on the doll where I would be touched if I were to do that. And that's a stranger that does that to me?
Yeah. Oh, and you're not really warned about it up front?
Right.
You really weren't able to consent to this touching? Huh.
Now,
all right.
In what room would I get my temple name? And what are the names all about? Is it what's your temple name?
What's your temple name? That's actually... Oh, God.
You can ask these questions.
You could.
It's not...
It's going to get pretty squirmy, but...
they will feel horrified. Just to be clear, we're not telling you things to ask that they'll be comfortable talking to you about.
You're not going to make any friends if you decide to go this route.
But also, it's not mean. You're just like...
It's a little mean.
If you
I will call you out on that one, Dan. If you went and did this, it shouldn't be mean.
Right.
These questions shouldn't be off limits.
Why not be curious about them?
Yeah.
And why shouldn't they expect you to be curious about them? They should.
If you know that you're going to cause them great discomfort, it's a little mean.
They're going to hate it. They're going to hate it. Matter of fact, ask a man, because like the sisters there will not be able to handle it.
Oh,
They will, but the men will just be like, "Oh, well, that's not something we talk about."
that's sacred.
Yeah. Oh, okay. And by the way, when they tell you that it's sacred, be like, "Oh shit, I'm so sorry," because that'd be funny. They won't like it if you swear.
No, they will not.
But feel free to what's funny is, they'll post a few signs that will give you like this is a holy place, please be respectful or whatever.
Right.
And if you see that means don't be loud and don't be a jerk about it.
Yeah.
But anything that's not on a posted sign, go for it. Have fun. Ask them intimate questions. I love that. Anyway, thanks, Joe, for writing in. Sarah has written into us as well. You'll recall, Frank, that we discussed we had a rather heated discussion about things being opened and or closed for one day a week.
Oh yeah.
And Sarah wrote in to say, "Hi guys, I lived in France for a year, and there everything except convenience stores, little grocery stores for diapers, milk, Advil, etc., and museums." And then I think she was saying they close on Sunday. They are closed on Sunday. Also, the first Sunday of the month, museums are free to enter. She said, "Oh yeah, churches are also open, but not as full as the museums on the first of the month." She also says about Christmas trees, because we discussed the whole Christmas trees are pagan thing, which is not true, but that's okay. She says about Christmas trees, "My Ukrainian immigrant great-grandparents hated Christmas trees because they believed they were pagan. When my grandparents first married, they put up a tree, but my grandmother's parents would refuse to enter their house while it was up."
Oh my
LOL.
God. That's funny.
That's crazy. Oh my God. Like the idea, who cares if it's pagan? You know what I mean? Like, would they refuse to enter your house also if you got like a cool little Buddha statue when you were in India or whatever? Like, it's just decoration.
They hate that crap. It's evil.
Yeah, but some people do think it's evil. It's just
they can't be in the presence of evil.
Yeah. That Buddha, what an evil guy. What are the snails on his head? What is that all about? Anyway, we have some folks to thank.
We do, Dan.
And I'm going to launch us off.
Okay.
I'm going to start us with Dave, who is going to do a monthly donation. We're going to make Dave a teacher.
Woohoo!
Thank you so much, Dave. By the way, the teacher, deacon, priest, high priest, elder thing, that's all magic powers that we bestow on all of our donors.
Oh yeah.
Just don't make no mistake about it.
It's as real as the real stuff. Right?
It's as real as any religion's priesthood power could be. So congratulations, Dave, on being a teacher. And then also, Elka, thank you so much for your one-time donation, and we'll make you also a teacher.
Nice.
In the priesthood. Woohoo!
Excelente. All right. Well, over on Patreon, Dan, we have a new deacon by the name of Richard.
Thank you, Richard.
Thank you very much. We have a new teacher by the name of Nick.
Woohoo!
Thank you, Nick. And we have a new priest by the name of Zachary.
Wow.
Thank you, Zachary. We also have somebody who edited their membership level. They raised it from the priest level to the patriarch level.
Wow.
So thank you very much.
Yeah.
Let's see. I had a hard time finding the name because their name is We Can Feed Everybody. And so that looked like words, not names.
It is words. That's what those are.
So anyway, thank you very much for doing that. And if you'd like to join these fine people and support the show on PayPal or Patreon, just go to our website, thankgodimatheist.com/donate, and you'll see the options right there.
Yeah.
And
I
as
believe
always,
we have one more person to thank.
We do indeed, Dan. We have our top donor to thank, our Lord and Savior, Davis.
More show coming up. All right, Frank.
Yes, Dan.
'Tis the season of holiday discomfort with one's family.
Yeah, it's true.
And so many years we've given bad advice about what to do, how to deal with family during these trying times.
And we're going to give more.
Why fuck with a tradition? This is a time of traditions. But I thought that one fun way to do that, I Googled, what did I Google? Technically, I Googled how to survive family Christmas.
Okay.
And since this is the era of the large language models, what has happened, I refuse to call it AI. It's not AI. But these generative large language models are everywhere. And Google has decided that rather than sending me to a, just some website, their AI is going to give a bunch of suggestions.
Yeah, great. I'm
going to throw them out to you, and then we can evaluate the suggestions that the robots have for us.
Okay, all right, I'm ready because they know a lot about surviving Christmas.
Yeah.
With people who are actually religious.
Well, considering all these large language models do is just steal content from other people, they do kind of know plenty of things. Anyway, here's what this one has stolen. The first tip, set boundaries.
Oh.
It says consider which topics you want to avoid and plan how you'll respond if they come up.
Oh, okay.
You can also talk to friends about how to change the subject or refuse to engage.
You just walk into Christmas and you set your boundaries. You're like, well, I am not talking about Fox News.
I mean, it's not a bad idea. Bring in a whiteboard and just everybody can write a few topics that are off the table for this year.
We are not talking about the election.
Yes. The name Trump will not come up. The name Biden will not come up. These are off limits if you want to. Here's what I suggest. This is going to be my addendum to this. For boundary maintenance, after you've set the boundary, walk around with a little buzzer from the game Taboo. So that just if someone tries to violate your boundary, all you have to do is just buzz. Just buzz them. And if they're like, no, but I just wanted to get your opinion about buzz, just keep buzzing them.
I want you to do that, Dan. I want you to actually do that. You have to follow your own advice, Dan. That's part of the rule here.
Yeah,
that's a rule I'm establishing.
Rather. If that's what we're doing, then my advice is don't have Christmas with your family, because that's what I'm doing. All right, so the second big tip from Google is plan ahead. Have a game plan for what to do if things go wrong, such as where to stay or how to get home.
Oh, Google's anticipating that, like, shit hit the fan at
Google
Christmas.
is ready for things to go nuclear at your house.
For mom to order you to get out.
Yeah.
Go someplace else.
Google is like, before you even show up at their house, know which hotels in the vicinity are not fully booked. That's amazing.
Okay, Google. That is some advice. Okay.
Although it's not, here's a not bad advice. If you're planning to go out of town, go home and you think it might be a little rough, just do stay at a hotel.
I think that's great advice. I actually more and more I don't want to stay at family's house anyway.
No.
Even if they're people that I, don't have great differences with.
Right.
It's just nice to have your own space. So if you can, right, like if it makes sense for you.
Yeah.
But I do think that like having a room, like going into family Christmas and with the plan that you'll be staying the night at your parents' house or whoever's hosting. But having a room reserved, boy, that gives you some freedom, right? Like you can now really open your mouth and say what you want. That's what Google is basically setting up for you, right? Is that you can go in swinging. You don't have to worry about like in the back of your mind, God, this is going to get really awkward and I got 3 more days here, right? Like, no, you can get the fuck out.
Yeah.
Like you're free, man. Like do what you want. Say what's on your mind, you know?
Yep.
That whiteboard over there that Dan wheeled in, who the fuck cares?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that brings us to practice self-care, says Google. Get enough sleep, eat well, exercise, and spend time with supportive friends and family.
Of course, Google has read the worst parts of the internet. Self-care, my ass.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Okay, thanks, Google.
Thanks, Google. No, I think that's a great idea. You know what I mean? Reserve a massage for Boxing Day. Have that ready for you so that you can just go and chill out. Google says focus on what you can control. Mm-hmm. You can't control what other people do or say, but you can control your reaction.
Oh, that's true.
It's true.
That's true.
Sometimes. I don't know. Family can push buttons like nobody else can. So sometimes you can control your reaction and maybe sometimes you can't. Practice gratitude. Shut up. Nope. I don't
And to do that, you have to do the little hand praying hands and do the little bow to people. Thank you, mother.
Namaste.
Thank you. Namaste, mother.
No, I mean, it does try to appreciate what you like about each family member. I guess I could make that the focus rather than the, oh no, it's Aunt Susan. Oh, it's Uncle Joe. Oh man. I guess that'll work to begin, to start off. We'll see how long that lasts. Use humor to try to see the funny side of things. I mean, that you have to.
Yeah.
You have to. Although using humor with the family, they may not get your humor. I don't know.
Yeah. So, they might think you're mocking them.
Right?
That's
so use
good.
humor with your friends and or partner or that one family member that gets it.
Yeah.
Scurry off with them and make fun of everything and then re-enter the fray.
The knowing glance across the room is also gold.
Oh, yes.
That's
yes.
That when it happens, it's just it's choice.
Also, if you don't know who your allies are, this is a little pro tip. Eyes open during the prayer is a great time to look around and see who else is not engaged in closed eyes, arms folded or whatever. Like that, especially in Mormonism.
Yeah.
In Mormon, it can be tricky because there are going to be parents who have eyes open looking at their kid, watching over their kids, making sure everybody's acting okay. But when if they go to pray, it's a great time to look around, scan the room for someone else to meet their eyes and be like, oh, interesting.
You turn the dinner prayer into a round of secret Hitler, basically.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. That's what we do. And if you don't know what Secret Hitler is, it is a game. Frank's not saying that someone is actually Hitler.
No, it's a game. It's quite the fun game, actually.
Yeah. Google says debrief. If Christmas is challenging for your family, you can debrief with a friend or sibling after the holidays, of course.
Yeah.
Or a therapist.
Most definitely. If you have a therapist, most definitely the therapist.
Yes.
Their
before and
will
after.
be required. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. And then consider joining virtually. This is a perfect suggestion by a robot. Of course, Google is like, hey, have you tried our virtual? Have you tried our
Hangouts? It's a new
Google
product.
Hangouts?
It's a great product of ours.
Actually, what's hilarious is it doesn't mention Hangouts. It says you can FaceTime or use another video calling app.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. Huh.
Google, know your own product. Come on, man.
That's funny.
That's
well, I mean, I've got a gift idea for your parents. For this goes to your to parents, I think probably. It'd be a good gift for my parents.
Oh, okay.
Which would just be admitting that I hate the Democratic Party too.
Oh,
at this point.
I like that suggestion, but my suggestion is I'm going to suggest a heavy preface before you say that, which is, Mom, Dad, I'm going to say something to you. This is my gift. You are not to comment on it. You are not to say anything after it. You are to take it and hold it and keep it and talk to each other about it later. But don't say anything to me about it. And then you say, I also hate the Democratic Party.
For very different reasons.
Yeah.
But I hate them.
But I hate them. And then walk away. Maybe run. I'm not sure. Oh, Lord. All right. Well, friends, let's. I think I'm going to call it. If you have any suggestions for family time or whatever, if you have anything you'd like to bring up with us at all, please feel free to do so. Podcast at thankgodimatheist.com.
Or call and leave us a voicemail message. We'd love to hear from you. The telephone number is 424-666-8442.
If you feel like 'tis the season for giving, you could support our show. Go to thankgodimatheist.com/donate.
This episode was edited by Roger Gowdy, and music was provided by the Red Rock Hot Club and Gordon Johnston.
Hey, thanks to all y'all for tuning in. We sure do appreciate you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thank God I'm Atheist is a production of TGIA Media, LLC, copyright 2024, all rights reserved.